This right here, this is the blueprint for Argentina's World Cup defense. Because let me tell you, there are no more miracles, and there are definitely no more one-man shows. Everyone said Argentina would fall apart after 2022, right? I mean, everybody said there'd be no more miracle runs, no more Lionel Messi carrying an entire nation on his back. The emotional high of Qatar, that was supposed to be the end of the road, a one-time dynasty. Well, they were wrong. Absolutely, completely wrong. Argentina didn't just win a World Cup in Qatar. They built an absolute self-sustaining machine. This is exactly how they plan to defend that title and why the entire footballing world is totally underestimating the monster they've become.
Okay, let's dive straight into this. Section 1, the post-Messi myth.
So the theory among the critics was incredibly simple, right? Remove Messi and the whole team collapses, just crumbles without his constant magic. But look at what actually happened in practice. They won the 2024 Copa América with Messi barely even playing. Think back to that crazy, intense final against Colombia. Messi gets subbed off, he's literally sobbing on the bench, icing a brutally swollen ankle. Now, in the past, an Argentina team seeing their captain break down like that would have completely folded. Emotionally, tactically, the whole shebang. But instead, this team didn't skip a single beat. They locked down the game, completely shut out a red-hot Colombian side, and won it in extra time without him. That single fact just totally shatters the post-Messi myth. It tells us everything about the psychological resilience of this roster. Because the absolute crucial takeaway here is this. This team is built to use Messi, not depend on him. Manager Lionel Scaloni has totally evolved this squad. They went from relying on a solitary, aging genius into this self-sustaining powerhouse with a rock-solid foundation. They literally do not need Messi to drop deep, collect the ball, beat 3 guys, and score anymore. They just need him to float, save his energy, and basically be the final lethal piece of a much larger tactical puzzle. Which brings us to Section 2, Scaloni's organized chaos. So how does this actually operate on the pitch? On paper, sure, it's a standard 4-4-2. But watch them play 3 different opponents, and that 4-4-2 looks completely different every single time. It's chameleon-like, and it's 100% by design. The absolute core of this system is what analysts call the spring transition. It goes like this. They sit back, they deliberately absorb the pressure, and then boom, they release like a tightly coiled spring. As soon as they win the ball in their own half, it goes forward instantly. It is utterly surgical. You know, in an era where everyone is obsessed with this heavy, endless possession, just safely passing around the center circle forever, Argentina is brilliantly different. No recycling, no time wasting. It's direct, aggressive, punishing football, designed to catch defenses completely off guard before they can even think about resetting their shape. And what makes this spring transition such an absolute nightmare to defend against? Their total unpredictability. Most elite teams, they eventually telegraph their attacks. You figure out their patterns. But Argentina genuinely doesn't. They will give you 3 completely different answers to the exact same defensive question. I mean, are they coming right down the middle with Messi finding a pocket of space? Are they attacking down the left flank with Alexis McAllister drifting wide? Or, out of nowhere, are you about to get hit by a relentless, lung-busting Rodrigo de Paul run surging straight from the midfield? When that transition hits, it is genuinely impossible to read which weapon is about to strike.
That perfectly sets up Section 3, the underrated midfield engine.
Now, what's really interesting about this trio is how arguably this is the absolute best international midfield in the world right now. Messi gets the headlines, obviously, but nobody gives these guys enough credit for making the whole system tick. Just look at how their roles perfectly interlock. First, you've got Rodrigo de Paul. He is the fighter. He does all the dirty work, tackles, carries the ball through heavy traffic, and fights for every single blade of grass. You know that guy on your Sunday league team who never, ever stops running? That's him, except he's doing it against world-class opposition. He's the ultimate bodyguard. Then you have Alexis McAllister, the reader. He intercepts passes before they even happen. He reads the game brilliantly, almost like he's watching a drone feed from above the stadium, just constantly shifting around to plug holes. And finally, Enzo Fernandez, the veteran. Get this, he is only 23 years old, but he anchors that midfield with the maturity and tempo dictation of a guy 10 years older. Now, in theory, putting 3 highly technical, attacking-minded midfielders out there together, that leaves you incredibly vulnerable at the back. It sounds like a total recipe for getting completely overrun on the counter. But in practice, all 3 attack and all 3 defend. Seriously,
They operate as this synchronized unit. They relentlessly press the ball carrier, they track back deep into their own penalty area, and they are constantly covering for each other's runs. Let me tell you, it is physically and mentally exhausting for opponents to play against this engine for 90 minutes simply because they never, ever turn off.
And sitting right behind that relentless engine, we find Section 4, a disciplined defensive block. Let's slow things down for a second, because this defensive foundation isn't just about parking the bus and throwing bodies behind the ball. It is meticulously calculated. This center-back partnership is elite precisely because of the profound, almost cinematic contrast between the two guys. Christian Romero is fire. He's aggressive, occasionally reckless, and just absolutely terrifying to play against. He'll step right out of the back line to smash into a tackle. But right beside him, Lisandro Martínez is ice, complete opposite. He is composed, highly intelligent, and reads danger way before it arrives. And that contrast, that fire and ice, is the secret sauce. It allows Argentina to press super high up the pitch without getting caught on the counter. Because whenever Romero goes hunting for the ball, Martínez immediately drops and covers the space behind him. Every single time. In modern football, where one tiny mistake at the back costs you a tournament, this balance is exactly what keeps their defensive record so incredibly clean. Then you add in the fullbacks, Tagliafico and Molina. They give the team essential width, sure, but they never, ever sacrifice the collective defensive shape. They aren't just recklessly bombing forward like you see in so many modern hyper-attacking setups. No, they operate on a pendulum. They perfectly time their overlapping runs, basically ensuring that one always stays back if the other one goes. On TV, it looks like this dynamic, free-flowing attacking play, but at its absolute core, it is strict, uncompromising defensive discipline. All right, let's shift our focus to the opposite end of the pitch. Section 5, two different striker problems. If the defense is a carefully calculated trap, the offense is this two-headed monster that genuinely gives opposing managers literal sleepless nights. And this brilliantly illustrates why. First, you have Lautaro Martínez, the knife. He's not just your classic number 9 waiting around the box for a cross. No, he drops deep into the midfield, works insanely hard off the ball, links up the play, and just creates absolute chaos in the penalty area. He physically wears down center backs, which is exactly what Scaloni's system needs from a starter. But then, just when the opposition defense is totally bruised, battered, and their legs are heavy in the second half, boom, you introduce Julian Álvarez, the shock. He comes off the bench, completely shifts the momentum with explosive pace, exploits all those tired spaces, and scores massively important goals, just like he did all throughout the 2022 World Cup. It's a devastating 1-2 punch. Two elite strikers, two completely different tactical problems for defenders to try and solve in just 90 minutes. So who actually orchestrated this monumental transformation? That brings us to Section 6, winning through structure. We have to talk about the mastermind who pulled all these pieces together. Lionel Scaloni's rise is simply mind-blowing. Let's think back to 2018 for a second. The national team was reeling. Scaloni gets the manager job almost by accident. It was a temporary caretaker gig for a guy with zero senior managerial experience. Literally zero. The media mocked it, everyone in the global football world thought it was a complete disaster waiting to happen. But then, he just steadily built the team. Out of nowhere, he wins the Copa América in 2021, breaking a decades-long trophy drought. He wins the Finalissima, then the World Cup in 2022. And just to prove to the entire planet that it wasn't some fluke of timing, he wins the Copa América again in 2024. But here's the kicker. Scaloni's greatest skill actually isn't his complex tactics. It's culture. He somehow managed to build a squad where the ego stays securely locked in the dressing room and all the performance goes right out onto the pitch. In the realm of international football, surrounded by massive global superstars who are totally used to being the main character at their club teams, building that kind of selfless, team-first environment is genuinely rare. Everyone buys in. Everyone tracks back. Now, you might be wondering, is there actually a blueprint to stop them? Well, yes, but it requires near-perfect execution. You literally have to match their sheer physicality and bite in the midfield, and you have to stay incredibly compact defensively to kill that rapid spring transition game we talked about earlier. Teams have definitely tried it. France did it for long, terrifying stretches of the 2022 final when Kylian Mbappé just took over. England has a high-intensity press that could hypothetically cause them problems in the build-up, and Germany for sure has the rigid organization required to plug those gaps. But remember, Argentina has faced all of these exact tactical challenges over the last 3 years, in the highest pressure environments imaginable, and they won anyway. Which brings us full circle to the core thesis of this whole explainer. Quote, Argentina don't win through magic anymore. They win through structure. They have completely transformed themselves from a deeply flawed team desperately praying for a Messi miracle every summer into a cold-blooded, systemic machine. Scaloni realized he never needed Messi to be superhuman for 90 straight minutes. He just needed him to be a perfectly calibrated part of the system. And that system, it's still running flawlessly today.
So, as we look ahead to the next cycle, the real question isn't whether Argentina can survive without a superhuman performance from their legendary captain. The real question is, has any team actually figured out how to stop them?